Now doing Chav Tes, today's Shir. What we learned yesterday, Chav Ches, that there has to be a Chayes Eliki in Klipa, but the Chayes Eliki which is in Klipa is only Ha'ara da Ha'ara, and it's in Efen of Golos. So, but I want to tell you something else. Even Klipa, which Lagabe Klipa you say that the Chayes Eliki is in Golos, it's Oichad Nishavei Poshet, V'hine. We know that the Eibishter is named by one. This means that the Burei Veruach Piv, the words in the air of Hashem's mouth. The words means the sound, and the air means the power behind it. Which is called in the Zeh, the Eibishter's name. Hu Yachad and Meyuchad is one with the Eibishter. Afa became still. Ha'ara, V'amshachas Achayas, the ray and the bringing down of life. Which comes from the Eibishter. Mischalekes, the Dalet Madreges Shein, is divided in four Madreges. We started off 2 days ago, the Hist Chav Zayin, by talking about the idea called Shechina. He says there's many Madreges of Shechina. There's Shechina of Atzilus, Shechina of Bria, and so forth. He says, all the Shechinas have one Shadish, Shmoi. And Shmoi is one. The Eibishter's name, Avayach HaDashmechad, is one. Still, from the one Shmoi, there's a Shechina in Atzilus, a separate Shechina in Bria, and so forth. Okay? Sheidal El Masabiyah, which is the source of the four worlds, the Chayas of four worlds. Of Atzilus, Bria, Tzimtzim, here. If everything comes from the same shame, so how are the different Shechinas, the Teretz is, that Machmas Tzimtzumim Seichem Rabim, because of the contractions and the many screams that affect the Tzamtzam Ha'erev Chayas, to limit, to conceal, to hide the light and the life of Alakus. Ulastiri, and to cover it over. It shouldn't be as radiant, as revealed, as bittel. As it's in Bria, as it is in Atzilus. And Yetzirah, it's even less. So I did it's through more tzimtzumim and more screens and so forth. Yes? But remember, Yetzirah is also Alakus. Asiya is also Alakus. Just Asiya Agashmis is Klipa. And in Asiya Agashmis Klufa, it's only Chutzlaretz. That's Klipa. So in Kedusha itself, you have a Riba Madreges of Shechina. Says the Alter Rebbe, Aval, however, the Riba Madreges of Shechina only in the Ha'ara. Ein Shum Shinech has Shom Ba'atzmos Shechina. These different Shechinas is only in the light of the Shechina, the Ha'ara of the Shechina. In other words, in Kedusha also, in Kol Shechina V'Kavachem and Klipa, all the Chilukim with the one Shechina, and the next is only in the Ha'ara, in the ray of the original Shechina. But Atzmos Shechina, Shehid Varavai V'Ruach Piv, which are the words of Hashem in the air of His mouth, okay, is uniform, is always the same. And L'cha'eda, the Pshat is trying to say is, even in Klipa, where Klipa gets a Chayes, Vesta Ha'ara Chitzenius, and then it's Sabash Nain Sarim, and then it comes. All of these Nafkaminas only the Ha'ara Sashchina. Etzem Hashchina is the same everywhere, including in Klipa. So first of all, you should know that Atzmas Hashchina doesn't change. V'gam, moreover, the Bebchina is a Ha'ara V'amshachas Chayes. Even the life, which is only a small ray and shine of the Shechina, where there are differences between one Shechina and another Shechina, I want you to know, even that's not so pashut. Hine. Ha'ara Shabbatzilas, the ray of Atzilas, Bekas HaMosach, breaks the screen. Umislabeshes, the Bria, and goes into Bria. V'chem Bria Liyitzira, and the same is true from Bria to Yitzira. And then Umitzira L'Asiyah, Mitzira Ta'asiyah, V'lachein. And for these two reasons, and the two reasons are, first of all, that shame is one. Shechina is one. The Ha'ara of Shechina is many. Second of all, even the many Shechinas, there's a concept of Boka HaParsei Mohem. Somehow the different Shechinas break through the screens. And for these two reasons, therefore, in Sof, which is revealed primarily in Atzilus, you should know the truth. It's even in Asiya. Moreover, in the base, in other words, even in the Klipas of El Mazeh, by coming down through the various Malchus of Malchus of Bria, and then Malchus of Yetzirah, Malchus of Asiya, is a new point. Yesterday's shtickle is his Chav Ches. Tishrei conceded that there's different madregas of Shechina. And the law is madrega of Shechina when it comes to Chutz Laretz and the Maimed, the matter of Golos, to give Chayes to Klipa and so on. Says the Alter Rebbe, don't get so excited. First of all, the difference between one Shechina and the next, the idea of Golos and not Golos, is only the Ha'aras HaShechina. Etzem HaShechina, which is Shem, is always a Lakus, and it's always the same, and it exists everywhere. Second of all, even the ha'ara of Shechina, which does change from world to world, and ultimately come down to the Matzav of Golus, there's a concept called B'kiyas HaMasach, which is discussed at length in Yars HaKedesh and Chof, which we are coincidentally in the middle of still. And over there, the Alter Rebbe explains that because the idea of B'kiyas HaMasach, Eid Ein Sof is here now, and the Alter Rebbe is trying to say Eid Ein Sof is in Klippa also. This is a deeper Chiddush. Yesterday's Chiddush was, at least in the Maimad Matzav of Golus, there's a Lakus in Klippa. Today's Chiddush is that even in Golus there's a Gilui of Elokus. But it's the Madrega of the Etzem HaShechina, the Shem itself, rather than the Ha'ara. So in other words, it's hidden not because it's concealed and covered over, it's hidden because it's like Save of Kalalman. So in Klippa there's two expressions of Elokus. The Elokus which is hidden in the Klippa, which is called Golus, and the Elokus which is higher than the Klippa, which we'll call Save of Kalalman, because it's shame. But the fact is, insists the Alter Rebbe, you must concede that there's Elokus in Klippa, and he's very careful to add, and like I told you before, he's going to say in Kuf Malacham and Beis, this is today's shir. So he has another deeper nakuda. First of all, there has to be a minimum amount of chayis in Klippa. Golus HaShechina. Second of all, the atzmas of Elokus is all over the same, including in Klippa. Elokus is everywhere the same, and the Elokus, which is b'chamalka and b'shava, is in its way b'gilui. It's not b'gilui to you. You can't feel it because it's infinite. But that's a chasaron in the makabel, not in the gilui. Mitzad Elokus, Eibush is here and Eibush is b'gilui.
Isn't atzmus higher than all the other?
Okay, you're being a lamdan. He calls it shame. He calls it shechina. Okay, I used the word atzmas a little bit too simplistically. Whatever it is he's talking about over here. No, okay, that's all. Sure.
There's the atzmas shechina and this final point.
Right. There's two. No, it's two different yanim. It's atzmas shechina is higher than Medina Vagbal. The second point is that even in the Gilui, in other words, even the Elokus which goes through the Tzimtzumim, the pnimius of those Tzimtzumim is still Ein Sof. It's two Bechinas. The second Bechina is much edler than the first. In other words, there's three in Yodam. There's the way godliness is concealed, the way godliness is unchanged, and the way godliness is changing and it's still inside, not changing.
Yeah.
You get it? Because we didn't get a Kedesh Chaf.